Hello, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today. We're doing our regular live session Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Take your questions on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube for general educational purposes only about U.S. immigration and what's going on to give you an understanding of this wild system, where things are going, where it could take you. Just to have a better understanding. We always have to have an individual consultation to guide you into, as a person, what's going on with your case, because we really can't get into that here. There's too much that needs to be known, and it's private too. We got to share some private information sometimes that you don't want to put out there. But we come every week for 5 years now, and God willing, we'll go another 5. So feel free to shoot out your questions, and we'll answer them here. If you're interested in a marriage green card or a fiance visa case, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. If you go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You can download that guide. It's free, 70 plus pages. Hello, Emma. Good to see you. And on the other end, if you're thinking about naturalizing, becoming a U.S. citizen, we released a guide on that too. It's called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. For that, go to our website, free download, 50 plus pages, jqqlaw.com/citizenship, jqqlaw.com/citizenship to learn more about that and the process. Before you even talk with the immigration attorney, before you make any plans, study it, know what's going on first. It really helps you, just walk your way through it. And so if people have no idea where to start, that's where to start. And it gives you what you need to be able to make some educated decisions on, who you're going to hire as an attorney, what issues may exist on your case. So if you go talk with someone who's a specialist, you can ask them really pointed questions and specific, like, hey, this is, what the situation is, what I need, and we'll take you there. Now, when it comes to the immigration world, as we're waiting for some questions to come in, usually we get a lot of questions on the show. A lot is changing on a constant basis. Obviously, you're hearing stuff in the news about ICE and things they're doing. Unfortunately, that's just going to be expanding with the double or quadrupling of the budget that they have for being able to enforce laws and detain people. So people are going through a hell of a time right now. But the other aspects of immigration are having issues too. Travel bans galore are happening. And, little nuanced things about, government fees that have to be paid, that are being, new government fees are coming in for asylum case, for example. But there was a lawsuit that stopped it. We'll see if that lawsuit keeps going or doesn't going. They're firing a lot of judges who aren't down with the administration or aren't towing the line, immigration judges. So that's a big deal right there. There's all sorts of cases being denied when they shouldn't, people not being allowed in when they should be, typically, lawsuits on that. So there's a lot going on. Happy to answer questions on a lot of that stuff as they come. But a lot of times we like to take the show to take the basics. Like Andula says, I have a marriage green card interview. Any advice? Well, the marriage green card interview is a very important aspect of a case. It's the finish line, essentially. Now, you could have a marriage interview at the embassy where you're usually alone and you talk with a consular officer. Most likely here, you're doing with USCIS adjustment of status. Both you and your spouse need to go. The interview focuses on the entire case and your background. So one aspect of it is them asking questions about your relationship. Now, it could be a 5-minute session. They just believe you're done. Or it could be, hour or 2 hours. They separate you as you come back a second time. The more prepped you are, prepared you are, both what you say, answering questions, and how well your documents are, and how clean your case is organized for the officer to understand, the more likely it is it'll just be approved pretty quickly. Although it's very unlikely to be approved the same day. Mostly at the fastest, it'll take a few days. But they'll go into your relationship history, ask you questions about that. So it'll be, our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, if you go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, it has an addendum at the end with 3 or 4 pages of practice questions. Go through those about your relationship history. And then go over your documents, potentially your marriage, your divorce records. Make sure, you weren't, if you were, for example, you're previously married, that you weren't married, you were divorced before the new marriage happened. And we have seen it a lot of times where people's divorce records aren't proper. The judge didn't sign it, doesn't have the proper stamps on it, that kind of thing. There's just so many problems that people have they wouldn't expect. Their dates of birth having errors, names being misspelled. But after going relationship documents, civil documents, your background, make sure you don't have any criminal history or previous immigration violations. And also the financial support, that part they don't really get into right now. That may change in the coming months. But at this point, if you're having an interview, usually they've reviewed your affidavit of support. So they're not going to get into that one like they would the other things. But they're also going to go through your application. Depending on the officer, they may go through some of the questions. Some officers may go through every single one, and that could change how long it takes by an hour or two. So in general, the most important thing is have your story together. Make sure you know everything that's there. Have your documents together. But ideally, you could schedule a practice session where we could have, we offer like an hour practice session. We act like we're the officer, review your submission, and start asking you questions there. And almost every time we catch people in issues that they didn't prep for, because they take it too lightly. So that's always something that's possible. Schedule a consultation with the office. We discussed that. But that's it. Preparation is key, but you got to know what to prepare. But most likely you'll be okay if everything else is in order, but we got to see for ourselves. But hopefully that little bit of information helped. Prabhajot on Instagram asked, my husband is a permanent resident in the U.S. He filed the I-130 petition in April 2023, 2 years ago. Can you tell me how long to wait for approval? That's hard to say. Yeah, typically those are going 3 years now, not just 2 years, but 3 years to be approved. Now, the spouse of a green card holder, the F2A preference category, as they call it, sped up recently. It got faster. So they may be approving the I-130s faster. That could be the case. So hopefully that is the case, but you might have to wait a little bit longer still. The important thing is have other stuff prepped to make sure you're good. I'm assuming you're doing consular processing. So a lot of your resume history, address history, have that stuff in order. Keep track of where the countries you've visited. Have your birth certificate and any previous marriage certificates, that kind of stuff in order. And hopefully you had a lot of good joint documents and you kept updates of them if you visited each other in the meantime. So when you go to the embassy, you could bring those joint documents to show updated relationship documents. A lot of stuff going on there, but yeah, those are taking a while. When you're married to a green card holder, they'll have those on slow mode. So it's going to take a bit of time. Okay, so we got so many likes already. Please, if you're watching this, like the feed. Javier, thank you so much for pressing like. Man says, if you put wrong dates on your I-130 for spouse, what would happen to the case if you file it online? What date did you put wrong for your spouse? Depends on what the date is. Sometimes, many times, you correct it, but what specifically one is the date that you got incorrect? Lacoons asks, hi, sir. Please, I filed my husband years back, but I'm getting a divorce. It is in process now, so I wish to know if I can cancel the I-130 and file for fiance. Well, you can withdraw your I-130 petition, and if you're a U.S. citizen, you can start a fiance visa process. There is an aspect that the administration particularly will say, hey, how come you just keep petitioning other people? If you have an honest reason, that's so it's not too unreasonable, probably going to be okay. But yeah, if the I-130 is still pending, the green card hasn't been issued, you could always withdraw, just do the paperwork, right? And you could file for someone else if you're a U.S. citizen. Green card holders can't do fiance visas. But, if you're able to explain what happened, because if you're on a new relationship now, they'll say, wait, you had this, is it pending? How come this new person came? When did you meet them? What's going on here? So it creates a little bit of confusion right there. Paranoid Humanoid, what a regular, good to see you, says, is USCIS really no longer accepting checks and money orders? That's correct. Thanks for the, I'll leave for the setup. But yeah, so USCIS historically would accept credit cards, not historically, last 5 years, credit cards and checks, but they're getting rid of that and requiring either a debit card, they have a special form for that, I think it's G1640 for that, or using a credit card to pay the fees. And what's important is each form needs to have a separate fee page. People won't know that. And the case is going to be rejected. You can't put them all into one. And, tell your banking company, bank, or prepare for that. If they call you thinking it's fraud, that it's not. These large chunks are being taken out by the government. But that's the rule now, definitely. So we've been using credit cards for applications, stopped using checks many years ago. But it's something to be prepared for. Nelly asks, hi, thank you for your time. I submitted my I-130 in January. I'm F2A in the USA right now. I submitted the adjustment of status. How long are EADs taking to come out? So 9 out of 10 times, the work permit EAD, after we file a family-based adjustment of status case, is taking 1 or 2 months, most of the time. We have like 2 cases where it's been 6 months, hasn't come, but every other one's this year has been 1 to 2 months. So it's been pretty quick. It's pretty awesome that it's that fast. Sana says, can you also help EB2 visa? We do EB2 national interest waivers, but not the perm, not perm. Emma asks, I have my kid. We left her. She had 1 year. We sent all the things they requested us 9 months ago, so no request interview. Always receive message, said your interview is ready. What does it mean? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. I have to see for myself. So if you did adjustment status, you're maybe waiting for an interview. Emma, but I don't have to see your case. Your questioning is not as clear for me to understand. Thank you for the gift, Sana. Mon says, if you put wrong date on your I-130 for spouse, what would happen? Well, I want to, man, or tell me what is it that you got wrong? Sonia says, hi, what type of background check is complete in Juarez? Will they search for a complaint I filed? They do a criminal background check to see if you have any safety or national security issues. They don't tell us exactly what's in these background checks and stuff. We don't know. But I can imagine as you're a dangerous person or something like that. So they could check pretty much anything. Sonia says, abandonment of home and children. What type? Search for a complaint I filed. Okay, I don't know. Abandonment. who abandoned who. Was it a crime? Was it an issue? I don't know. Is there financial issues involved? They may look at all that stuff. I can't say for sure. Don't you ask? My brother's case are changing from AF2 to AX2 from states what it means. I'm not sure AF2. Are you talking about Canada or something like that? I don't know. There's no AF2 that I could think about. You just put in regular jargon what it means, like a brother-sister case or stuff. I'm not sure AF2 and AX2. I'm not sure about those categories. Never heard of them before. Lion says, hi, I have a hearing in immigration court and it's in person. Can ICE detain me after the hearing? Unfortunately, that's possible. The court, sometimes they do that recently. Thank you for the gift. Twitch says, hey, if we plan to move from France to the USA in 2027, when we start to apply foreign investors, we got to look into that as soon as possible because foreign investors, if you're going to invest like $1 million plus to get a green card, that line is taking a long time. So that might take a while. If you're going to do a small investment, start a small business, the E2 visa category, it's better to talk now because it's not per se the immigration portion that's going to take a long time, but you got to start a business. What are you going to invest in? Where's the source of the money? It's all this kind of stuff that takes many months to plan out. So if you're going to invest money, you don't want to just throw it away. You want to plan it out. So the sooner you start, the better to plan out what your investment is going to be. And the investment has to be in line with what the immigration requirements are, which is not always the best business decision, but it's what the government wants. So Twitch, it's better to start now and talk about it, schedule a consultation. We don't do the EB-5 program, the green card version, but as small investors, starting a business and living here, operating the business, called the E2 investor visa, we do those. Okay. Julie says, my mom gave up her green card because my brother had cancer. I requested her again. Any problem? I'm not sure why she would give up her green card because of your brother. She would need to do that. I got to see what happened when she gave it up, what she said, what she didn't say. But it's not necessarily a problem. Haven't seen it be a problem, these kind of scenarios. But under this administration, you never know what the things they're going to make up. And Julia, you don't have to ask the same question 10 times. Just fill up the whole feed. Mona says, I put end date of my previous marriage for current marriage, I-130. Well, you can online, you can do a correction. It has a correction feature. You can upload a correction. So you can fix that. Just get on top of it and fix it. Okay, Julia, unfortunately, I might have to, thank you, Lon. Julia, I'm going to have to mute you because you just abused the system right there. Mute account. Okay, that'll make it easier to read what's going on. It's very unfair to other people trying to ask questions. So you just repeat yourself a million times. Okay, let's go back to questions. Okay, Controlla says, do minor mistakes greatly impact your application if it's a little mistake that you can prove? It depends on what the mistake is. What regular people consider minor isn't necessarily minor. It might be major. Things people think are almost every time when people do a consultation with me and they're worried about something that's major, it's something that doesn't matter. And then in that, we find something that was they thought was minor that was really bad. So it depends on what it is. A lot of times you can fix it, but it really depends on what it is that's the mistake. Maria says, can you explain between Bonafide determination on U visa and deferred action? So the Bonafide determination is like that we think the U visa is real and it really happened. All that stuff is good. And deferred action means that they're going to avoid prosecuting going after you for immigration court. Unfortunately for U visas, the administration is not typically honoring deferred action on U visas. They don't consider that a policy. So even if you have a visa case pending or and stuff, it doesn't mean that they won't pick you up. They can still happen. Alice says, is Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I could probably understand what you're saying, but because I'm not fluent in Spanish enough to answer, I don't want to do that here. Says, K1 travel ban country. Can you talk about that? So yeah, fiance visa K1. And there's a travel ban on certain countries, particularly Iran. And if you're not married to U.S. citizen, they don't consider you an exception if you're a fiance. So that case is going to go nowhere. There's a lawsuit that's being filed on it, but who knows who's going to have the lawsuit. So typically these kind of cases, we say get married because the marriage comes with an exception. Now, even if you are within the exception, once you go to your embassy visa interview, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to prove your case. You could be stuck in refusal administrative processing world, which means they're just going to sit on your case for a long time. And so that's possible too. So the timeline is going to be horrible. We don't know how long it's going to be. Angela says, my son is joining the Army, American citizen, 17. I overstayed my visa. Can I apply for anything? Once your son's 21, you can file for your green card. Now, typically, the military part helps if you entered with authorization or just snuck in. By joining the military, you could potentially apply for a thing called parole in place. But if you came with the visa and overstayed, then there's not much you get for your son, probably, other than just waiting for him to be 21 and file for you just like anyone else. There may be some rare exceptions. I don't know, but that's about it. Edat says VAWA is approved. I-485 open in May 2024. Still no decision. Yeah, this could take a while. Sandoval says, should I attach a copy of my degrees or certificates on the DS260? There's no place for you to attach degrees or certificates on the DS260. It's an online questionnaire. And if you upload documents related to your degrees, right now, most likely the National Visa Center won't accept it. So bring it to your interview. Jay says, is it possible to reschedule N400 interview or the 07? Yeah, you could reschedule both of them right now. Reason why I say is right now is that this administration could change rules tomorrow. So as of today, and that's the case. Q says, I overstayed my visa. What can I do? I don't know. Yeah, there's some exceptions. If you have asylum case, petition file for asylum, if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a parent of a U.S. citizen over 21 or something like that, it can be done. But not much you can do. If you overstay, you're accumulating unlawful presence days most likely, and it's going to be a problem. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe wherever you're watching this. LA says, my husband is detained. Can the government deny the habeas corpus or let him go? That's what the whole point of filing the lawsuit is, to see what the judge says. Willie says, wife is pregnant. My wife is pregnant back in Ghana, and she's waiting for an immigrant visa interview. Will that affect things? No, just that's it. So if you're a U.S. citizen, potentially your child, once born, will get it. If not, there's systems where, depending on where you are in the case and what your backgrounds are, potentially the child will automatically become a citizen or automatically get a green card, not need a visa. So that there's like a nuance there, but that's not a big deal. Donia, congratulations on having a baby. Donia says, my mother applied for my brother. The case visa was AF2, and now it changed to FX2. What does it mean? So my mother applied for my brother in the case. So was your mom a green card holder or a citizen? Potentially what was happening is like your mom was a green card holder, became a citizen when the process pending, something like that. Sanu says, what about SIJ cases, please? We don't handle special immigrant juvenile cases, SIJ, so I don't really talk about it on this show. It's not my specialty. Angela, answer your question. Sandra, answer your question. Sonia says, for the I-130/I-620 waiver, do you have to prove that you were present the entire time from 97 to present? No, the 618 doesn't require that. There's no requirement that show consistent presence for the waiver. Oh, people are just like, okay. Donya, okay. Daji says, do you handle 245I cases and motions to reopen SISPA cases? We do 245I cases. Motion to reopen a SISPA case, I'm not sure what context that's happening. So you have to see. We handle child satisfaction. We try to inform the government of the child satisfaction like SISPA that it's real, but I got to see what's going on with your case. If it's reopenable, if you met a deadline or didn't meet a deadline, how it could be reopened. I got to see how the denial looks on that. Says, how can I follow the K1 visa lawsuit? Look up a law firm called Greg. What is his last name? I guess just type in K1 visa lawsuit. It'll probably come up. K1 visa lawsuit. Yeah, just type in K1 visa lawsuit, and the first thing on is gonna be a video of me talking about it, or about K1 visas. But the next is impact litigation, Iranian K1 visa litigation, plaintiff onboarding. You got to pay a fee to them, but it's another firm. I mean, the lawyers are good lawyers, but I don't have anything to do with that lawsuit. But take a look at that. Just put in Google, really. Shariar says, how much income needed? My brother-in-law is my joint sponsor at IR1 visa case. His recent income is $36,000. He is an independent tax filer. I'm the only primary applicant, no other. Is your brother-in-law married or have children? If not, if it's just him and he's never applied for someone else's green card or something like that before, and if he lives in mainland USA, he needs to be making an amount for two people based on you and him. So covering two people. And that current amount right now, and these will change with inflation, is $26,437. So it's not too bad. 36 is okay. But we got to see what kind of income he is. Is it 1099 or is it W2? Does he have pay stubs? How long has he been working there? What do he actually put on his tax returns? So people tell me, oh, I'm rich. I make $1 million. Someone get their taxes. They do all these sorts of tax schemes here and there that they show negative income. So we can't use that. So we got to see how the paperwork looks like. JC says, is it possible to answer a question? Okay, so Mr. Mann says, how does pending affirmative asylum affect current marriage-based green card application? It doesn't affect it directly unless there's like crazy accusations in the asylum case. That's problematic. But you want to get the marriage green card case approved before the asylum case, because if you got to go asylum, they might send you to immigration court. It gets messy. Munira says, how long it takes when you sue the embassy overseas? Long time, probably. We had a client who sued it. There's so many back and forths, took like a year, and they just denied. The judge denied it. Control says, what are the percentage of cases approved versus denied? What are the main reasons for the denials? Control, that's like asking. It's like, why do people die? Okay, they say, what is it? Heart disease, number one killer of people. Well, why do they have heart disease? Well, it's like, it's just too broad a question. I'm here to ask a specific question about immigration law. You can ask ChatGPT, that kind of stuff. It's not the goal of this show. Dodgy says, how can I schedule a consult with you? Go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. It's jqqlaw.com/contact. And Sandoval says, how long is it taking to get an interview in Mexico after submitting DS260 after your documents are qualified? Unfortunately, it's backed up. It's getting slower. So about a year and a half, like 6 months to 18 months average. Yala says, if the company that I'm working for in the U.S. sponsors me for the NIW, you don't need to be sponsored for the NIW. Can I leave the company after applying for NIW? What about I-140 approval? I wouldn't have my company sponsor me. I don't like people doing that. Sometimes they do that and it annoys me. Your NIW is your own case. You should do it on your own. If they want to pay for it, it's very nice, but you should file the petition on your own so you're not beholden to anybody. Moreover, if you file your company file for you, the USCIS has a negative indicator on that, because for the national interest waiver, you're supposed to show your work is national in scope. If your employer files for you, it looks like your employer is doing it to work for them, not for like creating national in scope kind of stuff, and they'll send you an RFE and really push back. So I strongly don't like, for the majority of 99% of cases, for the employer to file it. Now, if they want to pay, again, they want to give you the money for it, then God bless. But you should file your own NIW in most cases. Lion says, what can I do if ICE detains me after hearing until to master? Unfortunately, I mean, you could do a habeas case. You could try to challenge it in a bond hearing, this and that. But it's not my specialty, unfortunately. But you try to challenge it, but it's going to be complicated and hard. Yeah, he just says, can I apply for marriage-based if I have a pending VAWA? Well, you don't want to do marriage-based pending VAWA potentially, because if you have VAWA and you get married, it could cancel out the VAWA case. So you have to strategically think, like, how far into VAWA case, how strong a VAWA case is it, and all that kind of stuff. Did you enter the U.S. lawfully or not? Because if you didn't enter lawfully, you could get VAWA, but you might not be able to get a new marriage case. So yeah, this is Yahida Falcon. You got to really strategize this with your attorney. Nat says, BIA pending since 2024. How long to get a brief scheduled? I don't handle BIA cases, so I can't say. Texas Heights says, hi, are people still becoming citizens? Yeah, every day. Because I want to be one. It's scared because of current status of government. No, we file citizenship cases. We filed one today, like an hour ago. So no, we file them every other week or every other week. So it's not a big deal. It really depends on your particular background, your case, and your history. So schedule a consult. I mean, first of all, go download our guide for citizenship. Go to jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Download the ultimate naturalization citizenship guide. Read that. Then schedule a consult time. We'll go through history, break down what's going on. And then we tell you if it's a good idea to file or not, or what risks there, all that kind of stuff. She follows up, I'm Nigerian, so news with Trump and Nigeria scared. No, that doesn't matter. Thank you. I'll continue the website. Yeah, definitely check out the guide, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Appreciate that. And then download or review it. But being Nigerian itself is not a big deal. Like, for if you're here and you're a green card holder, it does affect. What the problem is, if you're going to be getting a green card in Nigeria, it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get an interview, and then to slow it down and extra background check. So that's a mess. But if you're already here, then that's fine. And thanks for liking the feed. If y'all haven't already, please like this where you're watching this. Paranoid says, what options are there for Ukrainians under your parole program parole status? Can I refer a Ukrainian to your firm who is seeking to change status if there are other options available? I'm not sure if other options will be available. They are tightening the screws on you for you. We got to see what's going on there. It depends. Like, they're married. We have a U4U case that's going to have an interview in a couple weeks where they married a U.S. citizen or getting a green card. Potentially, you could do asylum, but we don't do asylum, so I can't really talk about that one. I don't know. They might be a victim of abuse and stuff, U visa. There's stuff like that, but we got to see what's going on with their status. I'm not sure. Texas Falls, okay, that means a lot. Yes, I'm a green card holder, been here for 20 years. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about Nigerian stuff being a problem. It's more just that you mark the boxes on what you need for citizenship. All right, the time flew by. It's 24 minutes, 25 minutes to the show already. If you have some final questions, please let me know. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, founder of the JQK Law Firm. We help people get green cards. They have relationships, family-based marriage, and stuff like that. Citizenship, removal conditions, I-751. This is citizenship already, but also small-time investors, E2 visas, L1s, and people with extraordinary ability, EB1A. This is stuff I like to focus on. So feel free to shoot out your questions while we're ending the show. The immigration system is changing on a second-by-second basis nowadays, and it takes a lot to stay on top of it. But I try to come here and give you updates and take your questions live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. We also have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide for those interested in a fiance or marriage visa. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com to check out and download that free guide, 70+ pages, and download our Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. So, in regard to citizenship, the basics are like 3 or 4 basic things. Have you had your green card long enough? Did you physically reside in the U.S. long enough? Any criminal history, any tax history, and that kind of stuff. Those are the main stuff that get people. But a lot of times, that's the tricky part is people may have got their green card incorrectly, or there might have been issues in the past that's problematic, and now they gotta no one noticed it until now. And a lot of my job as an immigration attorney is trying to talk with you, review old documents if we get hold of them, and to go through history to see if there's a spot there that didn't make sense. And it happens. We had one guy who got his green card, and they approved the green card too early. They shouldn't have approved it. And in a way that if they found out, they would just take away his green card and try to deport him. And I told him that he got so angry at me. He's yelling at me, and he's like, "You're lying." I'm like, "Why would I lie? I'd love to be able to take your case and file and get money. That's my business. I'm telling you, you have problems that we can't do anything about right now. This is what you got to do. It's a headache." But reality is reality. It's all I can do and try to help people. If people can't take it, that's up to them. Mr. Man says, "Yeah, you met citizen and married within a month. How long to wait to apply for a green card after marriage?" The waiting to file green card after marriage doesn't matter. There's no timeline, but you just met after a month. That could be a problem. You got to see the relationship, what happened, what joint documents you have, relationship documents. Frankly, when I have people who married after a month, many times that relationship falls apart. So I always kind of tell them, hey, continue dating for a couple months. If you see this continues and stuff, then file it. But it's not about how long you wait. It depends on your case strength, the foreign nationals background, all this kind of stuff. So it's more about that stuff you got to focus on. I just did a video on this on my TikTok and stuff too. Albert says, "How long to get my green card after biometrics for a 10-year renewal with no criminal record?" The biometrics doesn't mean anything for timeline. How long does it take? Probably 2 or 3 years. That's the average time. Sometimes faster, but that's the average time. And Wanchia says, "Can an F1 student visa who got a DWI affect his future application change of status?" Historically, no, but under this administration, maybe. Maybe just one DUI by itself, it'll cancel your visa, and they may not issue a visa for some time if you leave the U.S. But change of status, I mean, on discretion, they can deny it, but historically could be okay. Most of the time, under this administration, it could be a problem. Emma says, "My wife joined me in America, but the child never came. I asked the congressperson, he spoke to me. USCIS sent it to embassy and asked me the requirements. I submitted them. It was a year ago. Embassy told me that they sent the case to embassy. When I asked the embassy, they told me that they have the file. Embassy is one who has scheduled an interview." Embassy is, which embassy is it that you're dealing with, Emma? Which U.S. embassy abroad is it that you're dealing with? Twitch. Okay, Twitch answered the question. We have a E2 visa page on our website. Check that out, or schedule a consultation. Start thinking about it right now. If you're going to do an E2 investor visa, not the EB5, we can't help you with that, but E2, schedule a consultation, jklaw.com/contact. 9 months have passed. I'm getting an interview and says, "Charles, I don't know what to do." Emma, what is the country, the embassy? And how old is the child? Okay, so we're about to end the show right now. Wait for see if Emma gets this and follows up with what country this question is asked and give him some guidance. I had a case like this where a person was a green card holder, just recently, good news actually with it, but person was a green card holder and they filed for their wife and child. But then they became a citizen while that case was pending. When you become a citizen, the child drops out of the case. You have to do a separate case for them. They didn't realize that. So wife goes to your interview, gets a green card, and they sort out the kid, and you're like, well, there's no petition for the kid. So he had to restart the process, do a whole petition for the kid, and that took a while. So they contacted us. We got it expedited, and then got scheduled at the U.S. Embassy, in line for the U.S. Embassy interview in South Asia, and that was taking a year. And then we kept pestering every month, saying, "Hey, hurry up, hurry up." They say, "No, we won't expedite, we won't expedite." I'm like, the kid's like 2 years old. What's the point? Just get it done. And finally, after pestering him for like 6 months, they finally said, "Okay, we'll schedule an interview." But they haven't yet. They said, "We'll do it, we'll expedite it," but they haven't yet. It's been like a week or two. So that stuff happens, unfortunately. Thank you, everyone, for leaving a like on TikTok. 1,300. A week ago, we got 20,000 likes. I was like, oh, wow, how'd that happen? So I don't know. But I appreciate everyone who did like and who followed. Definitely go check it out, jqqlaw.com. We try to help the community a lot of free information there. Check out the blog and everything like that. And Litos, unfortunately, you haven't responded about what country the interview is in and how old the child is. And so I have to go right now, and I can't answer that. But schedule a private consultation. I've help people with cases like yours. Can't guarantee we help you, but schedule a private consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact, and we go over it there. Strawberry asks, hey, Judge, granted my green card in March 2022, now it's 2025. My case is still pending. If your judge granted your green card, what do you mean your case is still pending? Either they granted the green card is done or it's not. Emma says Kigali embassy when she left is 1 year old. Now she's 11. Okay, so let me see what Kigali is. Honestly, I don't know where that is. Kigali, Rwanda. I don't think you could. There's an embassy in Rwanda. Let me see. U.S. Embassy. Okay. Visa reciprocity, Rwanda. Like I have a Ugandan case, which is it's obviously not Rwanda, but they have to go to Kenya for their embassy interview. I haven't done a Rwandan case before. Let me see if you could even do the case in Rwanda. I'd be surprised if there's an embassy there. All visa categories. Oh wow, Rwanda has a. I mean, it's a small country. That's why I was shocked. But Rwanda has a U.S. embassy. They're probably backed up. Let me see. DOS IV tools. If you go on Google, type in DOS IV tools, the scheduling timeline page will come up for this. And are you a U.S. citizen or green card holder? You probably mentioned that already. But Emma, are you a U.S. citizen or green card holder? Kigali. $2025. How much time? You said 6 months have passed. They're saying it's taking, like, essentially they're scheduling interviews for people that are documents they qualified in January. So it's coming. Unfortunately, the African embassy, South Asia, I said at the beginning of the show, they all take forever and they're not very kind to expedite it. It's probably going to come up in 2 or 3 months. If you're documentarily qualified, the embassy then notifies the National Visa Center. They say we have 20 spots open, and the National Visa Center takes whatever line of cases they have and they put it in there. And so it's really the embassy that tells the National Visa Center what to do. The National Visa Center does it. So you just got to wait for that. It's probably going to come up. Just make sure your paperwork's correct. And what's happening with the family and custody and birth certificates, all that kind of stuff. All right, buddy. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll call it a day. It's been over 30 minutes. We'll be back again next Tuesday and take your questions, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. Just we'll see you then. Bye-bye.